I hope everything's going on well with the course. Alright, so very important aspect here while you're working on Excel, of course, to increase your efficiency here is something known as formula auditing. Now, what is formula auditing? You might have come across while working on Excel when, of course, you're working with large chunks of information, large chunks of computations, in fact, wherein you might be having a complicated formula applied, and then you might be spending some time to bifurcate that formula into various components in order to understand from where each variable in that formula has been derived from. All right, so let's see how can you make your life easier and how can you increase your speed to do of course do the same thing. Here in front of you is a small chunk of a data wherein you have some units sold by a company, the revenue per unit, variable cost per unit, and some fixed cost, right? And then you have a revenue computed, which is like units sold into revenue per unit. Similarly, you have variable cost computed, fixed cost, and you have profit. Okay, now suppose you get this sheet and you are trying to analyze the formula applied to profit. Here, of course, to explain, I have just entered a very small formula here, guys, but in real life, you might be having a large formula. All right, so let's see if I just don't want to see what is B8, then what is B9, then what is B10. Here, of course, it's visible because it's just above the profit cell, right? But in real life scenario where you're getting large chunks of complicated formulas, how do you do that? Well, you go to the formulas tab here and then you click on evaluate formula, right? Click on evaluate formula. Now this is my favorite tool in Excel. It makes my life very easy. Why? Because here, when I entered or when I clicked on evaluate formula, Excel gives me this dialog box having the same formula, right? Here, if you see in the evaluations tab, you will observe the same formula entered here, but you will notice some underlinings. That underlinings is where you can evaluate the formula. Alright, so let me show you how do you do that. If I click on evaluate, I get the value here. That what is this B8 value in this formula? It's 255000. Then the underlining shifts to the next one, B9. If I click on evaluate, I'll get what is B9? 210000. And then you will notice I get an underlining on this entire computation. I click on evaluate again. It says the result is 45,000 minus B10, evaluate 32,000, evaluate, end result 13,000. So it is showing you the computations for each single step. It is debugging the computation for you. Alright, so that's very easy. Now, of course, I know you've understood it. That's nothing complicated. You just have to click on evaluate. So let me restart it. I want to show you something else also here. Well, yes, of course, I know that I need to see the value here for B8. Remember, 255000. Now, what if I step in? I also have an option to step in. Step in means I step into the computation of B8 now. I know the result is 255000, that is fine. But what if I step in? Let's step in. It gives me another sub evaluation saying now B8 is comprised from B3 into B4. Now if I click on evaluate, it says B3 is 100, B4 is 2550, and hence click on evaluate again, the result is 255000. Now I don't have anything else to step in further, so step out. Coming on to B9, step in, it will give you the computation. Step in, you'll get B3 stands for 100. Step out, again evaluate. So B9 is 210 000. Step out. Now it's the same thing. Evaluate. Then again you can step in to find that B10 is 32,000. Step out and evaluate. So you get the end result. So that is how you play with evaluate formula option here. Very, very important formula, guys, and believe me, very useful functionality of Excel here, which will, of course, make your life easier. At the same time, it'll save your time, which is the primary concern of us being together in this course, right? So we need to save our time, and at the same time, we don't want to diverse into complicated formulas by bifurcating it on our own. So we write one formula reference here, another one in the next cell to see what the value is. Takes too much of a time and can complicate and can play with your mind big time. So evaluate formula, guys, use this functionality yourself. You have this file available, use it and move forward only when you're done. All the very best.